What's good, everybody? Today, we're going to talk about whether the center position should be the point of emphasis in next year's draft. Is Wes Unseld still on the hot seat? And you asked for it. We're going to talk about the show, the fashion show that is, and whether it was a good or bad idea. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to Locked On Wizards. This is your boy, Brandon Scott, again. I am really tired tonight. Man, I was over at FedEx Field for that disaster of a game, Thursday Night Football, where the Commanders got humbled by the Chicago Bears. If you're a Commanders fan, you definitely know the pain that I'm feeling right now. But, hey, I definitely appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. So today we are doing a mailbag episode, and we're going to cover a lot of good content. You know, should the center position be the emphasis in the draft next year if we look at the lack of depth and the situation with Daniel Gafford at the center position? Is Wes Unseld still on the hot seat? Even though the Washington Wizards did pick up his fourth-year option, we are going to talk about whether was the fashion show a good or bad decision by the Wizards. The fan base is very split, so I'm going to give you my opinion and kind of go from there. And definitely, you guys comment below. Let me know what you guys think. So let's dive into it. Now, the first question tonight is off of YouTube, and then this is a quick one. This is from @CowboysWizard, and it asks, will Locked On Wizards provide live in-game coverage of our Wizards this season? And to kind of answer that question real quick, we wish we could, but we are going to be providing recaps directly after the game. Now, me and E usually do live recaps. So, you know, for most of you guys who have been around, me and E, Locked On Wizards for a long time, know that after the game, when we do recaps, we do live videos because we like to chop it up with you guys. We like to answer your questions, you know, kind of laugh it up with you guys, and definitely, you know, feel the pain or celebrate with you guys depending on the outcome of the game. So, no, we will not be doing live during the game, but we always do recaps after the game. And obviously with certain events like the draft, trade deadline, we'll stay up and do live videos. Anything important acquisition-wise, we'll definitely stay up and do live videos. So maybe in the future we will do content during the game, but for right now, we're just going to do recaps after the game. But, hey, Cowboys, Wizards, definitely appreciate your question. So let's dive into the second one. This is from DMV in the Blood. And they say, should we take center with our most likely top 2 pick this year? I see Ron Holland mocked at us by almost everyone first overall. Would love Holland, but worried because we still haven't had a good center in DC. What do you guys think, and how do you feel about Holland? I mean, first of all, I love Holland. And, I mean, really goes off of what the front office is what they're trying to accomplish as far as acquisitions and how they're trying to build his roster. I mean, looking at the draft right now, I mean, Ron Holland, if you're going with best player available and you're at the 1, or if Holland slips to the 2, I'm definitely grabbing him. I mean, if you look at his 6'8", 200 pounds, small forward, I mean, he's a guy who can play defense, high upside. He's got some bounce to him, quickness. I mean, he's definitely a high potential guy on the wing. You know, it really depends on how it shakes out with, you know, do we extend Denny? You know, what position does Blau play? Does he play the small forward? Does he play the small forward? Or, excuse me, shooting guard? So it really depends. But looking at centers for the upcoming draft, now there are a couple that I actually personally like, but I'm gonna give you 3 to kind of look at. Obviously, Alexandre Sarr, Australian product who's actually from France, if you can believe that. 7'1", you know, he's a very long, very mobile center, shot blocker, but the offense, he's gonna have to work on the offensive side of his game. But another prospect to kind of look at is out of Kentucky. I'm kind of biased. I'm a Kentucky guy, but Aaron Bradshaw is definitely somebody I'm looking at. He's 7'1", 215 pounds. Bradshaw has an elite size, athleticism. He can dunk anywhere around the rim, and he has a smooth jumper, so he kind of fits the mold of the modern day center. So, I mean, those are 2 names that I would look at in the draft. I mean, obviously, I would look at Bradshaw. Aaron Bradshaw out of Kentucky is a guy that I'm definitely looking at, man. I would love to see him on his team. I think we need a 7-footer who can shot block and who can kind of expand his game with a mid range. So definitely, I'm looking at Aaron Bradshaw. But Sarr is definitely a name to consider. It depends. The draft boards, players can go up and down. A lot of them can. And usually your top 3 usually stand pat. But it's going to be interesting to see how these prospects kind of move up and down. But those are 2 prospects that I would definitely look at. So, hey, I definitely appreciate the question. So let's chop into one more question real quick before we get into a break. This question is from No Breaks New. That's my homeboy, man. So definitely check out his podcast. It is must listen. So definitely check it out. So, brother, appreciate the question. And he said, can the new additions to staff really make Wes a better coach? I see it helping with development, but not with leadership or situational coaching. Maybe not even lineups. I hope he figures it out. Okay. And then I love the question. Very dope question. Look, Wes is going to be Wes. Wes is going to do what Wes wants to do, right? He's head coach. You're hoping that a lot of these assistant coaches in certain ways can rub off on them. But I guess the way to look at it is this. The Washington Wizards picked up his 4th-year option, but it's not guaranteed he's going to fulfill the contract. Now, if you look at past performances or track records as far as coaches in DC, they usually but coach out their contract. So could the likelihood be that if he shows some kind of improvement at the head coaching position, could he play out his contract and maybe be the coach of the future? We shall see. But I think they were brought in to, man, that's a good question, because the way I see it personally is that it's kind of like this, man. You kind of feeling yourself, at work, right? And then they hire somebody new. And this person, man, is a little faster. They get their work done quicker. They get the work, sooner. And you kind of look over your back. I think that in a certain way, I'm looking at it like, they're kind of letting Wes look over his back and say, look, I need to step my game up, because there are a couple coaches behind me that could easily take over. They're kind of using the same example as what's going on with the Washington Commanders, with Eric Bieniemy being the offensive coordinator / assistant head coach behind Ron Rivera. There's a lot of chatter now that could Eric Bieniemy take over head coach, and was that the whole reason why they hired him to eventually take over? So if you look at the additions behind Wes Unseld Jr., one of them could very well be the next head coach. So they're definitely pushing him and let him know that, look, we're behind you as an organization. The front office is behind you, but we're looking for certain improvements as far as the head coaching position. So you hit the nail on the head. I mean, obviously looking at, going back to your question, development, I definitely is going to help, because these coaches are going to definitely help with development. Their track record is great with development, but, leadership, situational coaching, they may help because they have experience. There is experience behind Wes Unseld, so very well can help. But, the lineups, I think with a roster that has, kind of a mix of veterans, expiring veterans on expiring deals and young guys, he's going to mix and match lineups. And that's the thing with having players who can play multiple positions. The fact that Denny can play the 3 or the 4, Kuz can play the 3 or the 4. There's a lot of mix and match. So you best believe that he's going to try to figure out and mix and match here and there, lineups from here and there. So, we'll see. I definitely think that Wes Unseld needs to take a step forward at the head coaching position. He's got to show some improvement, especially situational coaching. You hit the nail on the head, bro. Situational coaching has to get better. Lineups, not just rolling with one lineup fits all. Really going to situations where you can game plan. Game plan according to opponent. If you go against the Cleveland Cavaliers, knowing that they have Mobley and Allen, how do you set up that lineup as opposed to a team that's running a smaller lineup? So I think this year is definitely a year where Wes Unseld Jr. is going to have an opportunity to mix and match game plan, and we'll see. We'll see if he takes that step forward as head coach. So next, we are going to talk about the hot topic right now, which is the Wizards fashion show, and whether it was a good or bad idea to do it. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry that you're buying tickets to your next event. Gametime is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy shows, and theater events near you, with killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I am a big ticket guy. I go to NBA games all the time, NFL games, Major League Baseball, the O's and the Nats, college football, college basketball, the list goes on. I'm a sports fanatic. So, obviously I've gone through sites like Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, but I'm trying to tell you, Gametime is definitely the go-to. Definitely check them out because you can see the view from your seat before you buy it, so you know exactly what you expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront, so you know you're getting the best deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, and you are ready to go. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every day is the next show. We are going to do more media day comments. We're going to get into Corey Kispers, which we haven't touched base yet. And we're going to analyze and see what Corey Kispers is talking about on Media Day and chop it up with you guys like we always do. So let's get into it. And this question is actually from Twitter, aka X, and it's from longtime listener watcher, Micaiah at Sally, a Wizard fan. I always laugh at that. So, and they asked, fan base is already split on whether or not the Wizards should have had that fashion show last night. Would love to hear your thoughts on if people are overreacting or if you see a problem with it. And I appreciate the question, man. Good questions tonight. Definitely appreciate you guys' questions. Yeah, it is definitely a hot topic right now. And I always try to come into every question, scenario, kind of a duelist, right? Look at both sides. And I've seen opinions from both sides. You know, one side saying that, look, the focus should be on getting in there, grinding, getting ready for the season. And the other side saying, look, they're building chemistry. And I kind of really thought about this, man. Because again, I see it from both sides, and to a certain degree, I kind of agree with both sides. But it's kind of like this: we judge things based on, depending on your age, your experience, whatever. It goes off what you expect. We all come from different eras. If you're older, you look at things from, especially as far as the NBA, old school NBA. And one scenario I look at it was when Michael Jordan came back from retiring and playing baseball. He came back. They played Orlando. They got unmatched, and they were starting to talk that Michael Jordan lost a step. First thing they did was what? They got into the weight room. They got better. They didn't go on vacation. They got in and got better. But that's the thing, man. I mean, it's a different game now. It's a different game. There was a time when, you wanted to, and then it's a different scenario too, because obviously they were a team that had aspirations for a championship, where opposed to, the Washington Wizards are a rebuilding team. So they're trying to create a culture and not so much really try to build the win yet, even though I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the NBA, but they're not challenging for a championship. But, it depends. Now, back then, to kind of get yourself ready for the season, it's always the determination, like, now, it's a different NBA. You see a lot of mass migration as far as players, a lot of friendships, guys get together, say, I want to play together. If you look at the Miami Heat, that's one scenario where they got together and said, we want to play together. There's a lot of guys that want to play together. And it's just a different, I guess, a different standard of chemistry. There's a younger league now. And it's not so much, it's tough to explain, man. But rock with your boy, I'm trying to explain it for you guys. It's like building chemistry through friendship, and this is just the way it is now, man. They're trying to build chemistry. So I guess I don't personally have a problem with it. And I'll be honest with you guys, man. I love all things Wizards, but honestly, either way, I don't really care, man. I mean, they can ride unicycles wearing top hats and eyepiece, man. As long as they win, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But I look at it like this: they're trying to build chemistry. They're getting along. You see Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole getting along. Kyle Kuzma in the mix. They're trying to get along, man. And there's just different rosters, different situations have different ways to get themselves ready for the season. I guess that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that, some teams like the old school Chicago Bulls, they had to get in there and get the grind on and define that chemistry. But that, like I said, that's a different scenario because they had chemistry already. Now, I know Jordan, he just came back from baseball, but there was guys on the rosters that he did play with and didn't have the roster he didn't. But with this scenario, they're trying to build a culture, and they're getting along. They're really forming bonds and friendships. And so I guess that, the fashion show serves one purpose, or a couple purposes, in my opinion, but one of them is building camaraderie, building chemistry, right? Because look, a locker room that gets along, they are better in dealing with adversity. as opposed to a locker room where there's little underlying issues, like we saw 2 years ago under the Spencer Dinwiddie era, the 1 year era, or the half a year era, which, you had a lot of underlying issues where, guys were fighting contracts, young guys are fighting for minutes. You had underlying issues that led to a lot of fights, Bertans and KCP, the list goes on, Denny. So, I mean, you don't see those underlying issues here. It's a rebuilding team. Now, obviously, these guys know what the situation is. And a lot of these aspiring veteran deals are going to be gone by the deadline. So they're playing for their value. The young guys know, look, depending on the young guy, Denny, he knows he's got to improve. Johnny Davis knows he's got to show something. Kispert, add a little defense, but the shot is there, the cutting is there. He's looking good. It's just at this point, he kind of is what he is. And Bilal Coulibaly, man, being the first pick of this new front office, he's got a lot, they have a lot invested in him with being the future. So, it all depends. But, them getting along, I think, is a good thing. So that's kind of my perspective. Number two, we always talk about, DC not being a destination for free agents. And I always say that, look, Jordan Poole, with his play style, with his potential, and the fact that he's young and hasn't hit his prime yet, people are going to want to play here with him, man. They're going to want to come to DC and play with him. Especially, I'm trying to tell you, he's going to light the league on fire this year. So, you look at the fashion aspirations of Kyle Kuzma. The NBA, here's what you don't realize about the NBA, or some people don't realize. I know a lot of you do, but as opposed to baseball and football, the NBA is a culture. Shoes, music. The NFL is the NFL, Major League Baseball is what it is, but I'm a fan of both. But the NBA is a culture, between shoes, fashion, music, the whole nine. So a fashion show is going to get more relevance in the NBA than it would in NFL or the Major League Baseball, because, the hip hop culture and the NBA have always been intertwined, always intertwined. How many players have you had that were hip hop artists? Dame Lillard rap, Shaquille O'Neal rap. Several artists were music guys, and it's really, I think, what was it said? There's music artists that were NBA guy or not NBA. Well, you look at Master P. He I guess he went to training camp with the Toronto Raptors, but there's always been this intermeshing of the hip hop world and the NBA. So I think that is one thing that's going to bring a lot of excitement to DC. DC is definitely a city that's always forgotten, especially when you're on the East Coast with New York, Philadelphia. There are always hubs for sports and music. I'm an old school hip hop head. Old school hip hop, you always think of New York music, right? So the hip hop scene in DC hasn't always been So I think stuff like this, man, is going to bring a lot of attention to DC, not only on the basketball side, but on the culture side with, music, clothing, the whole nine. So I guess I personally think it was a good thing. Build some chemistry, build some camaraderie, have fun, go into training camp and preseason with a clear head. And, look, the season's all about evaluation, but have fun. They're going to be fun to watch, especially if they push the pace. They're going to be fun to watch. So definitely, I think it was a good thing. I understand why people will have a problem with it. But look, man, that's the thing about life in the world today. Look, there's always going to be pros and cons to everything. There's always going to be somebody who's pro something and con something. So it really depends. And definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is a really long-winded answer, but I know this is a hot topic right now. So I kind of want to look at things from both sides. So again, definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Wizards have done the fashion show or shouldn't? And how does it help or hurt the team going forward? So again, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Chop it up with me. I'm a rolling solo tonight. My man E's got the night off. So definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me. So thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Every day we are going to talk about Corey Kispert and his comments that he made on Media Day. So definitely tune in for that. So wherever you got your podcast, a 5-star review, if deserved, is much appreciated. Like, comment below, hit that notification button so you know when dope videos like this one drop. So again, I appreciate you guys. Hope everybody has a blessed and fun weekend, and we'll see you guys in the beginning of next week, and we're going to chop it up about some Corey Kispert. All right, everybody take care. Peace.